And I had no idea that that would coincide with the 100th. But 10 years ago, we started giving away these plaques. Let me show you one. We started giving away these Joe Mann's Black Wall Street Awards, these plaques.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is incredible.
We've given away we've recognized over nearly 1,800 people in that 10 years. We started here in Baltimore. It expanded to, actually the first one was in DC. We've done New York and Atlanta more than anything. Our first one in New York was at the United Nations.
Wow. Wow.
Up and down the East Coast, and we were making our way westward. But we wanted to celebrate entrepreneurship in our communities.
Crazy.
Also, I came up with this. I am Black Wall Street.
Oh, that's beautiful.
This came out 10 years ago. It's a short read, 98 pages.
I gotta have a copy.
And I look at how those people got to Oklahoma. How they, the story included Florida and Kansas. Down in Florida, you had Chief John Horse. He was a Black Seminole. He was the first great leader to make it, Black leader to go to Oklahoma, and he was not a slave. Wow. He was a freeman. He fought in the Second Seminole War, and that's where had been started by Andrew Jackson. Florida was a freedom colony.
Absolutely.
Up until 1831. If
absolutely.
You escaped Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, you made it to Florida, and they accepted you were in a freedom colony.
Absolutely. That's why he went to war with them.
Yeah. And then another hero in this book from Kansas, in Kansas, was Captain John Brown. Captain John Brown was an abolitionist, white boy, white man, noble white man. And he was busting caps in the slavers. Because every time a state went to enter the Union, they had to choose whether they were going to be a slave state or a free state. So he made Kansas very popular for Blacks fleeing the Deep South, trying to get away from, some of the brutality that people had been enduring in the Deep South. So those are two heroes in this book. Also, they were Black, as you mentioned, Black business districts everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everywhere we were, somebody was hustling. Somebody was selling, no pun intended, somebody was selling some bean pies and some newspapers, brother. Somebody somewhere was selling it.
That's right. That's right.
And you mentioned HBCUs. Also, big ups to the Black newspapers. Going back, like in Baltimore, we had the Afro there, over 120 plus years old. Chicago, they had Abbott Senstack, the man with the Chicago Defender.
Right.
I think he was of the B'nai B'rith faith, but wealthy Black man. A Black newspaper was the mark that something was happening, that Black
revolutionary. That's right. That's so correct. And it's so interesting that you bring up Florida. And you have to forgive me, Brother Donnie, because I can get all over the place. But I mean, you said so much, and I'm sort of a history buff. And I when you mentioned Florida and why President Andrew went to war with them, they've never wanted us to reap the benefits of our labor. That's deep. When somebody wants you to work, but don't want you to reap the benefit of your labor, which absolutely would justify somebody being lazy. But the truth of the matter is, the people who built the quote unquote Black Wall Street in Oklahoma had already built one in Florida. It is the nature of the Black man to be responsible. And it's very important when we mention Seminole that we understand that those Seminoles look like me and you, Brother Donnie. They were Black. And they came over and they were building things in Florida. And that's the reason why they already had a knowledge of how to do it when they got to Oklahoma. Wherever Black people have gone, when left to themselves, they have built Black business districts. You have to know that we are capable of doing it if we don't have the idea inserted into us by somebody else that we need other people to do it for us. The problem was not that. We never marched for so-called integration. We marched down south, and my grandfather and family, we'll get into this a little bit, was part of all of the movements. They were marching for economic equality. We didn't want to pay taxes and then receive books, hand-me-down books when we were paying taxes to the US government. We believe that our ditches should be clean, and the Public Works Department should clean our ditches since we pay tax down south the same way you clean white people's. That you should pick up our sanitation and our trash and our debris the same way you pick up white people's sanitation and debris. Quiet as it's kept, many Black people down south were not just marching to back doors. They were building their own businesses, and that's where the thought and the idea of you being a uppity Negro, and they'd say that other word, came from, because we wouldn't go to their businesses. We built our own, and we had limited contact with white folk. So the smart, intelligent, shrewd Caucasians, particularly in California and upstate up there in Baltimore, where you're from, came up with this idea, and they met in California, not in the South. They met in California to come up with this socially engineering us into this idea of integration. That idea killed the Black Baseball League when they put Jackie Robinson in there. And we forgot about that we owned a whole league, the Negro Baseball League. It killed Black entertainment, because when you became a crossover artist, see, many of the artists didn't even want to go and entertain white people. They didn't, because they had to go through the back doors. White people were coming to our establishment. I asked a brother yesterday, I said, if Southern University, because we just finished the Bayou Classic, like a Bayou Classic in New Orleans is like a big old Black family reunion. And I mean, if Southern would have played LSU 50 or 60 years ago, we'd have beat all the socks off of them. Because all of the Black talent was in the historically Black college scene. And this is real interesting. But we're coming out of it now, so we see what we have to do. We have to build Black business districts. Amos Wilson said something, and I was reading it, and it stuck with me. He said the number one way to build Black loyalty is to employ one another. Can I say that again? The number one way to build Black loyalty is to employ one another. And so when I own a business and all of my employees are Black, the little brother who get out of jail and can't get a job, well, I give him a job. But the thing of it is that when you're a Black business owner, you're more than just an employer. You're a mentor. You're someone who teaches and trains not just the skilled trade, but you teach and train them how to be a functionable man, upstanding man in the community. Why it's important to be a family man. Marriage is a business. See, that's the original business. You teach all of that under the guise of running a business. So at the New Black Wall Street, Mr. Bill Allen, he has it set up in a way that you can't put a business there without going through customer service. See? And the first time you treat somebody bad, you get a stern warning, and they're going to send the people to warn you.
Through customer service training.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the next time you treat somebody bad,
you gotta go.
You're out.
Yeah.
We have to get used to treating each other with respect. And this is the minister's way. This is decent Black people's way. We got to get out of being so disrespectful to people or thinking that somebody's obligated to do business with us just because we got the same color. You know, in the nation, we're taught that Black is color consciousness and a connection to our Creator, and that good manners protect good morals. See, we have to become more mannerable, and this is what they're encouraging at the new Black Wall Street March. What made the Million Man March extra successful is that we were so courteous and so respectful to each other as brothers. It didn't matter if you were a Crip or Blood or GD or a Four Corner Hustler or Baptist or Methodist or Episcopalian Catholic from the South or East or West. We practiced good manners with each other, and it was a peaceful day, and the minister called it a glimpse of heaven. Well, now we got to go back to our communities. Why? Somebody told me, and I by trade, I'm a land developer, and I build streets and roads. And one of my buddies was saying how I need to do all of these housing developments, because you can make a lot of money off of housing developments. You can always make a lot of money off of people's ignorance, Brother Donnie, but it always backfires on you. I said, we don't need to build housing first. You build businesses first. And there's a reason for that. You build a business district first, and then around the business district comes your housing and whatnot. Because what good is it to build houses if the people are not employed anywhere? They don't have a way to pay for the houses. But if you're just greed driven, you don't care if people have a way to pay for houses. You see what I'm saying?
Or you expect them to get their money elsewhere outside of the community, or you program them to work elsewhere to come back home.
Absolutely.